Final day of the season again, Andros. What's it been like? What's the mood been like for the last 2 seasons?
It's been tough. It's been very tough. I think after the first season, we all thought it was a fluke. It was like, right, we can't be in this situation again. This can't happen again. And then fast forward 12 months, we're even worse position, took it to the last day. So it's been tough, but I've no doubt that the manager that's in place now, that I hope that Everton will not be in this position again.
Was there stuff about him when he came in? And I know that you had a lot of respect for the previous manager as well, Frank Lampard. I know you said he was great for you personally. What was it that he did when he came in that won you all over?
He's just been there and done it. You could see it in his face. There was no stress. There was no getting worried if we lost a couple of games. There was no panicking. He's just so calm. Even before the last game in the meetings, he's cracking jokes. He's his usual self, and he's just been there and done it. And that sort of calmness transferred to the players.
Andros, what have you got left on your contract? 2 weeks, something like that?
I've got about 12, 13 days.
Might have to ask you this in 2 weeks when your contract's up.
I won't be here, but yeah.
But as a player, does it affect you when it's chaos in the boardroom? Does it affect you on the pitch?
Not really, because you don't really see that on a day to day. The only thing that affects you if there's turmoil on a Saturday afternoon, if fans are protesting. But to be fair to the Everton fans, they did their protesting either before the game or after the game. They never really let it seep into the 90 minutes, because that is when it can affect you. If you're at home and the fans are protesting, or they're walking out, or they're being silent, or they're booing you, then that would affect you as a player. But luckily, they managed to do it before and after.
We've seen some big departures from the boardroom for Everton, and you know exactly how a football club works, and you've been in the business for a long time. One of the senior members of that side. Was it crazy what was going on? Did it feel like at any point it was distracting from the football, the hierarchy, what's going on above you?
Listen, I've only been there a couple of years, but I can only speak from my experience. Denise was amazing. She was so dedicated at her job. Bill, I know he's had his stick as well. The fans want him out. But again, the dealings I've had with him, such a passionate man. He came in and did a talk at the end of the first season, and really just poured his heart out, saying how much he loved the club, how much he wanted us to survive, how much it's been in his blood for the last however many years. And he's really passionate. And yes, he's probably made mistakes, but that guy cares about Everton Football Club. And I hope, like the fans, yes, they want him out. They want new ownership. They want people, new people in. But that man is Everton through and through. So I hope once all's said and done, he does get the credit that he deserves from the fan base.
So it's Bill Kenwright, Denise Barrett Baxendale and Graeme Sharp that were the three that were let go or walked away, or whatever those circumstances are. How does that affect a football club, especially when it's someone like a Graeme Sharp who's synonymous with them?
Well, it's like any business. What you know, if you've got a shop with staff, if the person right at the top of the chain is not correct or is getting it wrong, it filters down, and then it comes down again, and eventually you'll see it on the shop floor, which is the pitch. You'll see I mean, that saying, I've said it before, if the generals and the colonels can't get it right, the soldiers can't win the war. And it's true.
Do you think... Yeah, go on.
I think everyone needs to be on the same hymn sheet next season. I think example I use in the past is a few years ago, I think they were in a situation where the manager, Ronaldo wanted Davy Klaassen, number 10. Bill Kenwright wanted Wayne Rooney, also number 10. And I think director of football wanted Gylfi Sigurdsson, also number 10. And you ended up with 3 number 10s at the club at the same time, because each person in power wanted a different player, and that can't happen. You need whoever's in charge, whether it be the director of football, whether it be manager, whether it be the chairman, it all needs to be from one person. I think, again, I go back to the manager. He will make sure that there's nobody walking into that football club without his say-so. So I think they've appointed a very strong manager, and it's exactly what that club needs at this time.
What about Jordan Pickford? Because in the running he was brilliant, and at times as well for Everton, I'm a big fan of Jordan Pickford. Linked with Manchester United now, reportedly £45 million bid for Jordan Pickford. What do you think he'll do?
To be honest, first and foremost, this whole thing about Pickford doesn't play well for Everton. He only plays well for England. It's a complete myth. Honestly, I've been there for 2 years, and he's been incredible for the full 2 years. Yes, he's made mistakes, but so has every keeper. In terms of his future, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I think he signed a new deal last season. So I think it'd be the club's decision on that one. He's got 3 or 4 years left on his deal, so if the club want him there, I don't think he'd be going anywhere.
If you were Jordan Pickford and there was an option and maybe the club needed to cash in and get a little bit of money back, would you let him go from a manager's perspective? And if you were Jordan, would you want to move?
Well, you wouldn't blame him if he wants to go and play for one of the top clubs where he can win some medals. And he's been in a relegation battle for 2 years. And some of the defenders in front of him, no disrespect, he could play with better players, couldn't he? I'm not sure. The Everton's a great club with great support, but right now they're not going to win anything.
Yeah, I think they mentioned the big thing is whether Everton. I don't know the financial fair play situation they're under this summer, but if they need to sell before they can buy, then maybe they're looking at 45 million for a goalkeeper. It's good business.
How about Frank Lampard, Andros? I wanted to ask you about him because Everton's becoming a bit of a graveyard for managers. When you think that they've had Ronald Koeman, who went on to manage Barcelona, Silva has gone to Fulham and done well, Martinez has left Everton and gone to Belgium, and then you've got Benitez, Ancelotti.
Wow, yeah.
So it's obviously not them that's the problem. So has Frank walked into a bit of a shambles?
I feel sorry for Frank a little bit. I think when Frank first arrived, he was ambitious, he had dreams. You look at his first transfer window, he brought in Dele Alli, brought in Donny van der Beek from Manchester United, and it was sort of, right, we're Everton, we should be dining at the top table. And then obviously what happened, relegation battle. And you look at his second window compared to his first window. First window was Hollywood signing, second window, first signing James Tarkowski, second signing Connor Cody, Onana. He got in leaders, he got in quality, he got in senior figures, which we were missing in the dressing room to sort of be that experience, be that example. So for me, he did everything right. And we went into last season. Well, I definitely went into last season. I was injured, but I thought, right, we've got a good squad here. We're going to make a real go. We're going to get back up into that top half. But it didn't work out that way. And as players, obviously, from the outside of it, you can say, oh, bad manager, bad coach, bad owner. But players, we have to look at ourselves. And we definitely didn't do well enough under Frank last season, and this season just gone as well. So I feel a little bit sorry for Frank. What
would his next move be, do you think? Do you think it would be a Premier League club, or do you think it will have to be Championship?
Frank?
Abroad?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously he had the Chelsea stint where he was probably hoping, all right, let me get a few wins under my belt. Everyone will forget about the Everton situation, but it didn't work out that way. So maybe he'll have to drop back down to the Championship. But I think people forget about Frank is his first Chelsea spell under an embargo, brought through Mason Mount, had Tammy Abraham up front scoring goals left, right and centre, got them into the Champions League. He did an amazing job in that first spell at Chelsea. So I hope people don't forget about his success for Derby and then in his first season for Chelsea.
I always wonder about that as well, because I always go back to that season when it was like, I remember the finished top four and it was amazing. I wonder whether there's an element of that. You're going in and maybe the pressure is slightly less because you've got this embargo. And him and Jody really knew those players that they were bringing through as well. Was it a perfect storm, or is Andros right? Is it the situation where actually, like, you shouldn't forget about that there is a brilliant manager in him? He's just gone into quite difficult jobs. Really quick answer. We've got a break. Sorry.
Yeah, he did have an embargo on him, but he started off with 2 good jobs, hasn't he? Derby, Chelsea, Everton. He's had 3 good jobs, so. I don't know.
I think the problem is Frank's first spell with Chelsea is, like you said, he had the players that he wanted. He had the youngsters, Mason Mount new at Derby, and then the second season he gets a load of players brought in. That embargo goes. He gets Havertz, he gets Werner, he gets a couple of other players that maybe he didn't want. And then when those players aren't playing, they go to their agents. The agents goes to the director of football. Oh, but you said he will play, and then the director of football throws it onto the manager, and the manager gets a sack. So I think that was unfortunately the undoing of his first spell at Chelsea.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.